And there we go, right there. Okay. All right. We are live. All right, everybody.
Hello,
How are you?
everyone.
Welcome, everybody, to Spiritually Raw. And thank you very much. We hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. Thank you for that. And our good fortune is our soul sister and brother from High Vibes Up. Pretty cool to have these people on here. Been getting to know them over the last few weeks, and just a really great experience, and it's great to have you on here. Thanks for both of you. Thanks for taking the time to visit with us, amongst everything like this. And it's everybody. I just want to thank you, and again for always you staying connected with us. Our links will be in the description below. You see High Vibes links there. We're going to be having some just random conversations today, so just kind of go into the. Oh, that's what we get there.
Hang on one second.
Did you get there? All right, we're getting a groove. All right, we're getting a groove. But we're going to get some high vibe conversations going on here, right?
Absolutely. So thank you so much. Up until just a few weeks ago, we really never had a chance to really get to know your story. And I don't even know if a lot of our audience members know your whole story, like you were sharing with us on the interview that we had with you guys the other day. And I thought we could just maybe just revisit it and let people really see, uh, you, you know, the one thing absolutely love about your show is you've created a real family type of community, and you can feel the energy of that certainly when we were on the show the other day. And I would love to be able to just have our audience get a feel for that as well, because you guys are the real deal. For anybody that doesn't, highly improbable, but let's just say you don't know who these two are. um, Candy and Kid, they are a mother and son duo, and you really you complement each other in so many ways. You're just a lot of fun. You're very, very authentic.
Yes, you are.
And you lay it all
Just a
out. I
little
mean,
bit.
you are definitely spiritually raw for sure. You let it all out, and it's fun. You show people the real side of your lives,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. So let's get to know you if we could. So, the dynamic. First of all, we're meeting Candy and Kid, everybody, and we're all kind of getting intimate for a minute. But the dynamic of mother son working together like that in this kind of environment and this kind of close knit thing. What's that like? And I've seen it, but I mean, I'm just going to, for the audience watching that, what's that experience like, and how do you find it? I mean, how do you find it as the day goes on? I mean, do you feel like, hey, this has just been, just been an incredible blessing for you to work together? There's the times where you just want to just absolutely like, how do you really reconcile all of that?
Well, I said to Kit recently, I said, if we hadn't done as much inner work as we have, you and I would be in all-out war right now, because the energies are such, and different aspects of our lives. I don't know if I want to call it business, but most people would see it that way. So business has increased, and our lives have just gotten more complex, and so that brings stresses.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're dealing with our stuff, that comes up, and we might say something without thinking, and then that triggers the other one. But what's happening now is we'll both look at each other after like 30 seconds of this, and we'll be like, no, this is not going there.
Did I say that?
And so we'll have a little this, and then we'll move on, and we're like, okay, it's all good. And he's like, yeah, it's all good. And we realize that everything is about ourselves.
Mm.
So when I'm pissed off, it's not about him.
Mm-hmm.
Why did that happen to me? Why did I feel that way? And so I go inside and I figure it out, and I understand it and then get it and let it go.
It's really good. Did you always have a close relationship when you were growing up as well?
No.
I was a mama's boy, you could say. But this physical mortal body, well, the soul that used to live in this physical mortal body, was, you could say that he would have become a killer if things did not change the way it did.
Mm.
Through my car accident of breaking both my legs in 2009 is when that soul left. and another soul came in. And the only reason why I say that he could have become a killer is because, one, he would pee in the corner of the rooms. Just because he could. Two, he killed at least 3 baby animals. A chicken, a duck, and I think it was a mouse. That is usually always the beginning
That's
of
usually the sign, they say.
cycle.
Do you think that kid, was that something that was it a rollover of something from the past?
I honestly do not know. I did not connect deeper within that soul that left this body. I just know that that soul would have become something that I am not today. So I went from a straight asshole. Sorry for
Yeah.
To
Don't
a
hold back, Candy. Don't hold back. Tell them how you really feel.
so I went from straight to gay. And it was just through that one car accident of breaking both my legs, doing 2 360s, went down a ditch, and as soon as it came up the ditch, the floor of the car of just the driver's side ripped off. Did a footstone stop for 60 meters until my legs just caught and snapped. 26 breaks in my right foot or my right ankle, and the oval bone in my left foot completely cracked in half. And they told me for 2 weeks straight, you'll never ever walk again. I'm like, oh, really? Well, those are your words, not mine. Screw you, I'm going to walk. 4 weeks later, I took my first step. 2 weeks after that, I went straight back to work.
How long ago was your accident?
That was in 2009, January 13th of 2009.
When you man, you got an interesting thing going on there, brother. So when you got so you talked about the other soul in a different person, if you would, and as you do that, so and I just for people watching here for the first time here, and I know we've had some of these conversations, but this new version of you, okay, or this other version of you that's in here, is it a completely different soul? Has it merged with any of this? Has that other soul completely gone, or this is a completely new, like a complete walk-in?
Well, when I was learning how to connect into the spiritual realm, I learned how to connect into the halls of the gods. I literally walked with the gods, and what we had know about the Norse gods, the Olympian gods, have all been false. Did you know that the goddess Karma and the goddess Medusa are 2 sisters, but they're also neutral goddesses? They don't take sides, but they will help one out when one asks for a price. And that's what Medusa did. She took the other soul as payment because he asked Medusa, save my sister in one lifetime. My twin sister, and she saved her. But the payment was, you will give me your soul. And the reason why she loves souls is because she treats them like her own children and trains them to be how they need to be. So we think that she's taking the souls for evil, when in reality, she's taken them to the 4D to pave the way for what is happening now.
Interesting perspective on that one. That's
very
pretty wild.
interesting perspective.
How do you, Candy, as a mother, process all that? I mean, how did? Well, I know it's 2009 that happened, but how did you, I should say, and do you still process it, or yet are you at resolve with it?
I'm resolved with it.
Yeah.
When interesting how it happened. We didn't know that this was a walk-in for probably a couple years, right? And I was just learning about all this stuff. So I was just sort of flung into all the spiritual realm. I didn't have anyone teaching me all the different lingo. And people would say this or that, and I'd say, well, what is that? And so walk-in was a new term, and I was really excited. I was talking to my daughter, and I was explaining walk-in, and she says, well, you know, that's what happened to my brother, right? I said, what do you mean? Well, think about it, Mom. He was straight. He liked girls, and he was an asshole. And now he's gay, and he's fun and lovable. I mean, that's a total switch. That's what you're saying, right? Oh my goodness. I mean, that was a real revelation for me. But then after that came the morning of MOUR. Is that how you say it? Morning?
Yeah.
Him leaving and what that meant to me, and did I have a part to play in that? And so that was a new discovery, and I finally came to the place to where, okay, I'm done with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before that, that's when I went into the drugs, the opiates, the alcohol, the sex, and all of that stuff that happened.
Yeah, because of the accident and the pain medicine that led him down.
They went down that slippery slope,
so
right?
that happened after the accident?
So right after the accident, they put me on Percocet, Norco, Vicodin, and I was addicted to all three of those. I would pop them while drinking and singing karaoke and having fun. And then that led me down to crystal meth, heroin, and almost all the other drugs. If you open up a book of drugs, you could say that I've tried almost every single one.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it, but my DOC drug of choice is crystal meth. That's the one I always went to. That's the one that I was addicted to.
How did you conquer it? Where did you start?
Oh, that was interesting, wasn't
Right.
it? I think that was your
I think that
gates
started
to
in
hell, right?
October of 2014 is when I started. No, 2012. Yeah, 2012, because it was 2016 is when I tried killing myself. And that was the day that I decided it's going to be my last time I'm going to do this.
And it was you that decided, right? It was you. No intervention.
There was nobody around me, just me. Yeah,
just you.
So in 2012, when I first began it, my first hit, when you take the first hit, you're okay. It's the second hit that gets you. That's why they call it devil in a pipe.
Is that the crystal meth that you're talking about?
First hit, you're okay. But the second hit, as soon as you take that second hit, that's when you get addicted to it.
Why is that?
There was something within that drug that causes you to need more. You feel like that you're on top of the world. But what you don't realize is that when you're on the top of the world, it messes with your mind and opens you up to the spiritual reality that all these whispers come into your experience, meaning these outer worldly beings start talking to you, making you feel like that you are the best thing. And that's why a lot of us can't get away from it.
Oh, that's interesting. So these energies that are talking, did you feel at the time, did you feel that they were of a high vibe, or did you know that they were coming from a lower force?
In all honesty, I thought that they were my own thoughts.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's why that they're so sneaky, is because when they come into your experience, they make you seem like that you're the one that's thinking these thoughts. That not these other outer worldly beings that are talking to you. They use your mind against you. That's why it's called the processing system, because they learn how to send something into the processing system that makes it seem like your own energy. So you're like, oh yes, I am the best person, this, that, and the other thing. But that led me down to going to a party, getting roofied, and then gang raped by three big men. So I've been raped before. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. That then led me down to even having more. Do you know how much an 8-ball is? It's about like this much. And I would smoke that every week.
That's a lot.
Every week. And that's like almost $500 a week. How
did you support that income?
Well, I stole over $5,000 from my mom and dad. And I honestly, with everything that I've done, I don't regret any of it. The only thing that I really wanted to change was the hurt that I brought my family. Other than that, I would do everything all over again because it made me who I am today. Because all these negative experiences was not here against me, but it was here to help me be relatable to all those that have been through it or are going through it. Now,
The other soul of you, Candy, his other soul, before this one, would you have the one that was could have been a killer? Would you have seen him going down that path, drugs of choice, or do you think this was unique to this particular soul, this particular walk-in, if you would?
I don't know if drugs would have been part of who he was, but where he was going, it frightened me. I was very concerned about the fact that I could not get through to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I raised my son and my daughter the same. And so I also knew that those were his choices.
That's pretty good of you from a mother's point of view. That's not an easy place to even get to. So, Kid, was there at that point when you said enough was enough and then you said I'm done, was there a catalyst that got you to that point, or were you just like, when enough was enough?
My catalyst was different than all the other times that I kept on digging myself down. So in February 14th of 2016 was the day that do you know what the term slamming is?
No.
Slamming, injection by needle.
It's
so,
what?
Injection by needle.
Oh.
So syringes. So I would take full thin, I think it was like 10 millimeter syringes and just slam. I slammed about 10 times before I was out of the house, and I had to walk 6 miles. And through the 6 mile walk, time just stopped. And I literally saw myself at the gates of hell. I'm like, ooh, this is new. So I open up the door and I see nothing but death on the other side. And it was tempting to walk on through. That is the time that I almost died. But I turned around, looked back at the path that was a high mountain path. I'm like, well, time to climb back up. And I just started climbing. That was when I was like, you know what? This is the time that I need to just stop. No one can see me but me.
Exactly. Was that the first time, or was that the first of many and that was the final? And I'm curious from Candy, from your point of view, did you believe it?
Yes, I did. I knew it was happening.
Because my actions spoke louder than my words.
Mm.
Because right after that is when I found a job. I found my own place to live. I got things back in order. And I was working hard. I burned all my bridges, and the only bridge that I had left was a small little string connected from Candy to me. That was it. Everything else I burned. But I worked so hard to build up those bridges, and those bridges became 10 times stronger because how I took action.
It's a miracle. I mean, it is literally a miracle.
Yeah.
When you Candy, when you watch this, and you're in the public eye a lot, and you watch this and you watch your son talk about life like that, and which most families they just they pull it behind the curtain and they just try like, let me deal with it on our own stuff here. But you're very open and very public about it. Your initial thoughts behind that, did it organically happen like that, or were you like, oh hey kid, turn it down, tune it down, we don't want to know, like how did you, or is this did you think that this is maybe what you should be doing? Like, can you give us a sense of that, how you feel there?
I would say that we grew into this. Yeah. It was no different than doing the inner work and peeling the layers of onion off. It was the same with this. It was one layer of revelation after another. becoming more comfortable with it, understanding it in a deeper level. So yeah, it was definitely a transition. There were moments that as I was still healing and releasing, that I would cry because there was just more pain and everything that we had gone through. But I haven't had that in a while, so there's been a great deal of healing individually and together.
Mm-hmm.
And same with Dad.
Yeah.
Same with your dad. Same with your dad. That's pretty cool.
Was there ever a point that you felt like this is too hard? I can't do it. I think I might slip back, because getting to where you are now is miraculous, but getting through to where you are now is a journey in itself.
Are you asking him?
Yes.
There were moments.
There were moments, most definitely.
But he learned to convey them to me. He saw the warning signs and he'd say, "Here it is, Mom."
Well, first off, you saw the warning signs, because every time I was on the drugs, she could see that there was something that I did with my lip. It was like,
It was something.
and she would be like, "You're doing that with your lip again. I got you."
Wait a minute. This was during the drugs, but afterwards, when there was the temptation, I think that's when we're talking, right?
Yeah, I would still do something with my lips because of the temptation. You're like, you doing something with your lips again. Like, you having those thoughts.
Yes, this is true.
I got you. I see you.
There was one time he was laying on his bed and he said, "I do not know how to get out of this. I do not know how to stop what's happening." And I was trying to help him, and I felt lost because nothing I did was working. And so I sat down next to him, just rubbing his back, and I put my head in my hand, and I was just saying, with this deepest prayer, "I do not know what to do, and I need help." And that's when this pink dragon showed up.
Kuan Yin.
And I said, "Who are you?" And I saw the words Kuan Yin, but it was spelled in a way that I could
Comprehend.
comprehend it. And I don't remember what happened after that, but just him showing up brought Kid through that whole experience. And interesting thing, I was telling my friend about that, and she said, "Huh, do you have dragon cards?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I do, but I never delve into them." She goes, "Go grab them." So I did, and she told me to look for a pink dragon called Kuan Yin, and I found it. And it was a different spelling than what I was shown, but it was the exact same pronunciation and same color dragon.
Oh,
That's really nice.
I love Kuan Yin too.
I got to tell you something. I mean, it's very impressive, the two of you, just, and the courage really that it takes to, put your stuff out there, and the healing that you, and I don't know, and I hope you do know the healing that you give to so many people. I'm sure just by the courage that you have on this.
Just speaking it.
Now, I want to turn, if I can, to your spiritual, your faith, if I can, kind of learn a bit about that, because both of you are guides for people individually, but then you also collectively do it too as a group, right? Or as a duo, right?
You mean the work we do with people?
The work, yes. Yeah.
Always.
So I know, because I was like, we're really good individually, but we're really a powerhouse together, kind of thing like that. I recall one of you saying that. What does that look like? So tell me a little bit about, first of all, individually, Candy, if you can. What does that look like when you're working with someone, and really, what journey do you take them on to help them get to the other side of what they're trying to get to?
Well, that is a that is a real step of faith for me to do that alone, because unless the team comes through and gives me words, I'm a very quiet person, and I can get shy and recluse.
Mhm.
So when we work as a team, he's the voice and I'm the energy work. And there have been times when he was not available and someone needed help, and so I would get with them, and that would happen. The team would come through and give them what they needed. It's definitely not me in the physical, so always flowing through me. And then what else did you ask?
Then I wanted to really, we're just going to go with this in a minute, but I wanted to know, like, again, what it is, like, what you're doing to help people get to the other side of what they're doing, which you did answer well. Thanks for that. And then, working together on that. How do you, when people are coming to you and they're working with you together, so is it kind of like, I want to kind of paint a picture a bit. So, Kid, I've seen you dynamically on YouTube. You really just get right in the minute
You
there.
do, yeah.
You get right in the moment. You lose your stuff,
that
right?
channeling comes through.
That channeling is very evident at that point in
Yeah.
time. Is it kind of like that? Are you channeling through him? Is it like how's that connection happening? And is there like literally a physical touch where you're like where you're holding that transmits to him and he channels through that way from what your team has given you?
I don't understand. I don't understand what you're asking.
Like if you're working together and then the team comes through you and then Kid transmits the message, if you would, how is the message from your team transmitted over to Kid through you?
It doesn't work that way. I see Kid with his own team, and they're called the Stars. And my team, the Stars, have started working with me, and they have gotten after him through me. But I have Chesmic and also the Gatekeepers. That's my families, yeah. And when I first was introduced to them, it scared the shit out of me because I was raised Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're raised that, dark black cloaks are evil. And that's how they presented themselves to me. And I remember calling my friend and I said, "Oh hell, who is that? Who are they? What do I do?" And he said, "Just next time they show up, if they do, ask, are you for me or against me?" And they have to answer.
Mm.
And so they did. They showed up again. But the second time was very different. I was brought into a room. The floor was stone. There was a half stone wall. They were standing by an obelisk, these three gatekeepers. And I saw blueprints, different languages that I've never seen before.
Time charts.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of different charts floating around. It was just in the air. And then I looked over at the gatekeepers and I saw my friend over there and they were laughing with them. And so I called my friend after the experience and I said, I saw you. And she goes, "Where'd you see me?" And I said, "There were three beings by an obelisk." "Oh, those were the gatekeepers." "Yeah, I was there." And so I understood that was their way of letting me know who they were to me. They were safe. And then
And how do you draw that energy? Are you meditating prior? What were you doing that, and how did they come through?
that's a good question. I'm still learning about that. But what I can tell you is that when I go into session, I connect to all that is source, and I can feel it right here, and I can feel the emotion, I can feel the love, and this increases and increases. It just expands in my chest and expands out, and that's when I begin my work.
And what exactly do you do? Is it energy work? What are you doing?
I'm glad you asked that. So I have teams that I work with. I've got two, one god and one goddess. They showed up and they said, "Would you like me to get the soul essences and soul fragments?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's great." And so they would go and retrieve for the person we're doing in the session, and then I would sew them in with diamond thread. And one day they asked me, "Would you like me to install them, sew them in?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I began to learn that these teams wanted to be a part of the healing of who was before me.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so I also have, let's see.
This is mine, so we can share this most definitely, so everyone can understand. So we created a form that we fill out, and we just did a session on me not too long ago because I was struggling and not understanding.
Yeah.
And stuff. But this is what it kind of looks like when it's filled out. So you have your name at the top with the date, your name, guides, how many guides you have. Those realms right there are basically the lifetimes that you've lived. And there are times where we meet people with 20, 30, 40,000 lifetimes in just 12 different realms out of the 30 realms that are there. So that's just a pittance to how many lifetimes that we truly have. And then we find footprints, contracts, cords, dark and light entities, because there are evil light entities that are out there that disrupt the light, that bring different energies. So that's why we call them dark and light. There are fissures that we also clear, soul fragments and soul essences.
Fissures are a lot like portals.
What's that? Say that again.
Fissures are a lot like portals. Is that what you say, Candy?
Yeah, and we can find fissures and portals on people. Matter of fact, one time I learned, they showed me a portal on someone, and what was happening was the portal would close, and then it would open up, and someone would come through and attack the person, and then go back through the portal and close, so that no one could ever find them and get them cleared from this portal.
Where's the portal at? Or where are they? In the heart area? Are they in the chakra?
They are anywhere and everywhere on the vessel. Yeah.
How do you sense it? Because that's probably pretty. Is that a common thing with a lot of people, that those portals are available and they're just waiting for the right moment to be released, if you would?
It's actually very common. These guys are sneaky. Yeah.
Wow.
Sneaky, and they know how to experiment and torment people by the things that they do. They're masters at it. So it's like the imagination. I mean, that's all part of the healing process and what is being shown to me. One time I saw they were either metal or glass, and they were rods going like this from the shoulders and down into the hips. One person. And I brought that up to KIDD, and I said, "This is what I'm seeing." And the person in our session said, "I have been seeing that for a long time, and I have not understood what that was." And so we get these confirmations like that all the time.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And then we get some people that are infiltrators that come in and go, yeah, I know that. And then they attack us after we leave our session. We're like, well, that was an infiltrator. How rude.
I love it. KIDD, how do you see things, because you probably watch, and I want to ask you this because we've seen you doing, how when you're working with the cards and everything, but you definitely get in your zone. You definitely get in your rhythm there. What's your interpretation now? You see others talking about the things and the concept of like a 3D, 5D, and then these different solar flashes that all of a sudden will come through, and then here we are, and poof, we're all good. What are your you know, because I can tell when you're there. I could tell you're tapping into something. I mean, it's
Mhm.
pretty evident.
Mhm.
What's your interpretation of that about what's being said there? Do you feel like, first of all, how do you interpret the concept of 3D, 5D, of how you personally are experiencing and seeing it?
In all honesty, I had to come to the understanding that every dimension has a 3D, 4D, 5D within it. So our 3D experience already has a 3D, 4D, 5D. But I personally call it the 3T, 4T, 5T, meaning the third tier, fourth tier, fifth tier. And what I had to come to my understanding is that the third tier is the lesson. The fourth tier is the lesson of the implementation of implementing the lesson within that life. And then the fifth tier is the test. So when you are basically playing this game of the 3T, 4T, and 5T, you are going up to the gate. And once you get to that gate, think of the sloth on the other side of that gate that has to open up. So it's kind of like the slower, the more impatient you are, the slower that sloth gets. But the more that you're patient, the faster the sloth becomes. So when you pass that test, you literally, you just go right to the next third T. 3T, which is why we tend to go, oh man, I went backwards. And you never go backwards. Every time that you pass a test, think of that level just disappearing. You can't go backwards. You're always going up. You're always learning. But the only backwards motion that you do is when you can't pass that first test, you go right back down to that same 3T that you were already at to learn that lesson again.
Mhm.
So it's just a circular motion.
So we don't have to die, for example, to go to this 5T, 4T, or no, we could be, is it it's like an accordion file, kind of like you're up and down with it all the time?
You are always moving up in energies.
You're always moving up in energy.
Always moving up in energy. So think of our world, this world right here, moving at a super fast pace, while up there is moving super slow. So 1 second up there could be 100 years down here.
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting.
That's how it is. And that's why we need to go through these lessons with patience, because the more patience that we have, when we get up there, things are going to be running at a slower rate because we're watching everything else moving at a faster rate because everything else is slower.
Mm.
That's why this world has that lesson of patience.
When you say patience, I also hear allowance.
Allowance.
Mhm.
The AAA, everyone knows that the AAA tow truck company. Here, roadside assistance, I'll come tow your truck for you. It's okay. But we have our own spiritual AAA. And this AAA is 3 steps that we use on a daily basis: acknowledgement, acceptance, and then the biggest step, allowance. This is how you truly get connected with your guides. This is how you truly get connected with the 18 senses that you have. You have to be in that AAA movement of acknowledging what's there, accepting it for what it truly is, and then allowing it to run its course. Because when you do not allow something to come into your experience, it's going to completely stop you from moving forward because you're not in the allowance. So you have to start all over again.
Exactly. With the person that you had that had the crosses, was that a blockage and they weren't allowing something to come in, or they were keeping something in?
It's not only a blockage, but it's a form of torture.
Self torture.
No, think of someone being abducted and put in a chair and tortured.
Mm.
That's what a lot of these spiritual beings do. They torture us. When, okay, so Kid was off doing his drug journey, and that's when I met this sage that came into my life. And we would talk for hours on the phone, and that's when she told me about everything that was going on in Hollywood and what the red shoes meant, all of that stuff, right?
Mhm.
And so she then began to talk to me about this healing thing that she did. And I asked her if she would do a session on me. Well, she did, and she found what class, Damon?
In general.
A demon that held the position of general.
So there are 5, 6, 7, 8 different levels to demons. There are level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then you have lieutenant, commander, and generals.
Mm.
So when she did the work, I liken it to Ghostbusters when Sigourney Weaver was on the bed
Mhm.
and she was levitating. So I didn't do the levitation, but do you remember how she was breathing hard and her body
Oh,
was
yeah.
okay? So that happened to me as she was doing this work and getting this demon out of me. And
Mhm.
when it finally released, I felt like air could pass through my whole being. It was the most incredible feeling I have ever experienced.
Mm.
And then I asked her if she would do a session on KIDD. And she found that 6, right?
6, yeah.
And then we found a couple of
And
others.
5 others.
Yeah.
And the
So-
many more that came after that, too.
So there were 6 demons, 6 ETs. And one of them had been with him from the very beginning of his lifetimes here. And then the others added to the party.
Oh.
After she cleared all of them, he called me 3 days later and he said, "Well, this is really weird." And I said, "What's weird?" And he goes, "I don't hear anything." And I'm thinking, well, that's normal, right? And I said, well, I don't understand. What do you mean you don't hear anything? How is that different from before? And he said, well, I would always hear voices. I'm like, I didn't know that.
My
He
mind
said-
was always on the go.
Yeah. And he says, now it's just absolutely quiet and peaceful in my head.
That's a blessing.
Yeah. And what these ETs were doing all these years was experimenting on him.
Soul left, and this soul came in. This soul was tormented by all those ETs.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we we learned about that, and then our process evolved and metamorphed, and it is what it is today. And so we clear all those kinds of things. I think one of the most interesting things that we were asked to do. There were 3 houses in a very dark city, and there were so many beings, and all 3 houses were connected with portals. And there was a huge, like pyramid.
There was a pyramid. Each one had their own pyramid.
Each one had their own, and the pyramid was the portal.
Mm.
The pyramid was a barrier to keep certain entities out while keeping bad entities inside that area, causing ruckus.
That's heavy.
That is totally heavy.
So, like the person was telling us, her niece was bouncing on the bed, and then she was just thrown across the room, hit a glass, which shattered and then sliced her when she landed on it.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is the kind of activity that was going on in these homes.
Mhm.
And we thought, how are we going to do this? And so we took a couple days and we really cleansed ourselves and got ourselves balanced and neutral. And then we went to work and we brought in the whole team and we got everything cleared. And the person called us after that and said, as I'm walking through this house, it feels like a graveyard.
Mm.
Wow.
It feels like there's been an absolute war here. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, we'll get that cleaned up, because we didn't even know that would be part of what would happen after we were done with our work.
Yeah.
So we then went in and got everything cleaned up.
I gotcha. Wow.
Incredible.
That is incredible. Man, you guys definitely tapped into something. How are you experiencing, or what do you think about this, Candy? What do you think about these people that are, and if this is something or not? What do you think about, the people that are waiting for like this, let's call it a flash, if you would, and all of a sudden the world changes, everybody's better, and they're sitting waiting for this flash? Because I know we get a lot of feedback of like, well, this flash is going to be here, so it's all good. Once the flash is done, then everything's going to be good. Everything
Everything's going to be
changes.
roses.
Everything changes in a minute. Do you see it like that? Does your team share it with you like that? That there's going to be a flash that gives an instant effect, if you would, and the next thing you know, the world changes.
That's more of a kid question than a candy question.
Well, first off, we have to take into consideration the dimensions. And within the dimensions, there are the 3T, 4T, and 5T, right? So now let's go into a visualization. Think Star Trek. Think Star Wars. Those are all documentaries, right? Which means that they're in the higher dimensions. They are past the 5D, 6D, 7D. They're probably in the 20th, maybe 80th dimension, which means that they're still going through their own wars. They're fighting amongst themselves, which means that every dimension has the 3D, 4D, 5D within it.
Exactly.
What I see about the Flash is that Flash is going to help awaken certain beings that are staying asleep because the MK Ultra was so strong.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to affect the ones that are already awoken, because the ones that are already awoken did not choose to awaken. We were personally chosen.
Do you think that the Flash will help us move into our crystalline bodies?
No, it's a choice. What we do for ourselves is what's going to help get us into the crystalline bodies. For instance, the Saya, that's a game changer for us.
I think that's so perfect that you said that. It is a choice. I think there's a misconception that people think, oh, I'm just it's like a magic wand that's gonna be waved over the entire globe. I just don't see. I think you nailed it. It's a choice that people are that ultimately will make, because we all do have free will. So if there was this great wand, right, that would literally, take away your free will ultimately, because maybe there are people that don't want that. They don't want change. They are fine the way they are, and that's that. So, I mean, essentially, wouldn't that be taking away their free will?
It will. There's only one time with certain people that our two-choice system was stripped away for once. All the awakeners. Only the awakeners. The ones that are awake right now, our choice was stripped away because we were chosen. We did not choose to awaken. We were chosen to awaken. And the reason why we were chosen is because we are the strong ones. Think about it. If any of your family members have ever woken up and you didn't, do you think that they can handle what is happening right now?
It would not be easy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which this right here proves how strong you are. You didn't choose to awaken. You were chosen. Which means that you are the powerful one out of your whole family. When things hit the fan, when shit hits the fan, guess what? Who is your family going to turn to? Who is your friends going to turn to? You, the powerful ones, the ones that already know. So this right here is proof on how strong you truly are.
That's a good point. You had mentioned about the crystalline body, and you had mentioned the Asaya too. I definitely feel that that's altering my. I don't know. Can't say yet if it's altering my DNA, but I can say it's altering my physiology. That's for sure. It's altering the way that my whole body feels in general. I feel not so heavy, not so dense. I definitely feel lighter. I feel like I am turning into a light body.
How's your experience been since last week, Candy? It's been a week since we spoke about it on your show, right? Or earlier. Well, I know we did earlier this week with Dr. David.
Yeah, I'm continuing to see improvements. I was looking at my hair yesterday and I was like, wow, a silkiness is coming in. And I haven't seen that since I was a little girl. So I was shown, you know how they say that your hair and your nails are dead cells? Well, we know they've lied about everything. Well, as I've watched myself get sick, I have seen my hair go bad, as in like get dry and strawy type of feeling. And then there were times when I was doing something right, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And then my hair started to get healthy looking that fast. That is not dead cells.
No way.
So our nails and our hair are very much alive like the rest of us. I mean, that's my belief.
I agree.
And so I'm watching this silkiness come in, and I know it has everything to do with this.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't changed anything else. Nothing else. So there was a question that I asked my team, and that was, okay, so if I know how to heal, how come I am still struggling with weight? Why am I still struggling with some health issues? Why can I not heal that? And they said to me, well, there are 3 aspects to healing: the physical, the spiritual, and the mental. And each one is tied to each other. And so we may be doing all the right things physically, but we're not hitting and letting go the mental and the spiritual things that are also playing into that. And so this is, if it was done for us, what would we learn?
You know, it's kind of like Christmas lights. You remember the Christmas lights where you take out one bulb and all of them just go poof? That's exactly how it is with the physical, mental, and spiritual.
That's so true, isn't it?
When one is out of balance, all 3 are out of balance.
That is so true, though, because I think people don't put that in perspective. They do. They get, okay, well, let me be in the best physical state, or let me be the smartest I could be. And wow, and you're right that they got to balance out. I am finding, though, for myself personally too, that it is connected to mind, body, spirit. It's like the cells are opening up, so the mind, body, and spirit are connecting. I love the fact, just my discernment meter is just, it's tight. It's tight, and I know that I know. You know what I mean? And I love that. And again, it's connecting those aspects of it, and each one, Candy, you said so well, is just such an amazing indicator of, you know, how to move to the next one. I mean, we can work mind, body, spirit. We can get those connected, and that's always been a challenge for people. It really has. You know, I think it becomes a proverbial challenge. But I believe, like you, Candy, said, you know, something came down as, or here, or into us, or whatever, wherever it exists, whatever that is. Kids, you know probably better than us. Is you know, something came down and just infused it. It gave us the technology, and we were able to be gifted with being able to find it. You know, so
or I think it found us.
Or
really.
found us.
Or well, we
maybe like what kids saying.
energetically
Yeah,
drew
maybe
it
like what
to
kids saying.
us.
We were awoken.
Yeah.
So something came down to help us out.
Yeah.
And said, okay, all right, here you go. You're awoken. Like now, like it's like we're awoken. It's like, what the hell do we do now, right? And now it's helping something there.
Right. Just to add validity to what you just said. I mean, think about how KIDD is channeled with the stars, and we are getting information that we hadn't heard before. And you should hear the stories of Noah that they gave truth about. It's the same with the person who got this information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Channeled, and you guys are channeling things that are new as well. And this is what happens. And this is why we're all family. This is why we all work together This is why unity works, because we help each other with all of the revelations that are coming in. I can't be all things. No matter how much I want to, I cannot be all things. So we have to work together.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a real soul sister brother experience. It really is.
It
And you're
is
right,
truly a
because
collective energy force.
yeah, and then you all bring in everything. So I think the more and more we're able to realize that there's that God is God, whatever you want to call it, that spark within, that light within each other, and to get attracted to that's pretty good. I have to tell you, it's been it's been amazing to get to know you over this short period of time, this last few weeks that we've been getting to acquaint ourselves with you, and
really
go
sweet.
on this journey with you. Go on this, like, hey, it's interesting. How life works out. It's like we meet and we go on a journey, which is about now, hey, let's get the mind, body, spirit of the world connected, right? So here's a journey we go on together, and that's life, everybody. And it's look at the beauty of the possibilities that are out there. You know what I mean? Here we are today. I do want to where's that at? Did you already put it up? Oh, yep.
What?
Oh, no, sorry.
Go back to here.
Hold on, I'm pulling one of yours.
Wait a minute. What did you do?
You guys are a blessing, and it's an honor to be able to have this connection with both of you, because it's
Thank you.
You guys are family. That connection that we all have with each other.
It's nice.
It's a soul connection for sure.
It is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are here. There's a real experience that we're in these bodies, and I think that we're not looking for the great escape. You know what I mean? We're like, here, want to enjoy the hell out of it.
Enjoy life.
And like you said, kid, the 4T and then the 5T, which I like that analogy a lot. Just that's it. You let go of one layer and boom, that goes away, and there you go. Now you level up. You keep leveling up. I love that. And I think what people can look at it is like, hey, boom, you got it. You're done. You're done with that level. Level up now. And if you look at it that way, I think it's a great pragmatic way of experiencing it.
And you're always getting stronger every time you go up too, which means that just because it gets stronger, it doesn't mean that you become weaker. It's just because when you level up, the bad side level up. So you gotta just keep on getting stronger. It's like those big
more stuff thrown at you.
You're heavier weights on you without you even knowing. You're like, it's so heavy.
I love that. That's amazing. That's amazing. You two are amazing. I want to thank you both for coming out here today with us and spending a minute and taking time out of your day, taking away from this. And everybody, it's been serious with us, all of us talking about this. We do have the link right there in the description. We do encourage you, again, for optimum performance, mind, body, spirit. If that connection's missing to you, just there's a link there, the High Vibes link up there, and also you can contact us. We'll walk you through and help you through that. Just that experience. It's not a product; it's an experience. So really just a journey.
It's not only is it a healing experience and an ascension experience, it is truly a spiritual experience on every level, every facet, mind, body, spirit, and prosperity.
It really is. It really is. So much love to you both. And I look forward to our next of many conversations. And it's going to be pretty exciting to spend this life with you as we go through the next wave. That's really cool. So much love to you. And thank you again for being on here with us.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
Yeah. All their links will be in the description below, everybody. For those of you checking them out for the first time, you're absolutely going to fall in love. Do check out their High Vibes Up channel, their show. It is High Vibes Up, and it is cool. It's got a really great stuff on there. Great community, great family that's there, that's self-supporting, that these two have created, and I think that they'll help you on your journey called life most certainly. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us as you always do, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. And together we are turning the universal key to global harmony and creating a unified world. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your beautiful dreams come true. Many blessings.
Love you all.
Much love.
Love to you guys too. Oh man.